Hi, everybody. Happy Wednesday. It's Riley with Waterstone Mortgage coming to you today to talk about the do's and do nots of buying a home or applying for a mortgage, whatever it may be. So we're going to start with the don'ts first. And if at any point in time you guys have questions, just type them in the chat and I'll answer those on here. But the first thing that you definitely should not do is don't apply for new credit. So from the time that you apply to be pre-approved for a mortgage until the time you close on the home and get the keys in hand, do not apply for new credit. Don't give anyone your social security number. Even if, let's say, you walk into like a furniture store and you want to finance the furniture you're hoping to buy for your new home, even if they say it's a soft pull, don't give them your social security number. Nobody can pull your credit without that. And if they're asking for it, they might be doing that. Having your credit pulled can affect your pre-approval as is. So don't apply for new credit. Don't give anyone your social security number. If it's something you really, really have to do, talk to your loan officer first so they can tell you the best way to go about it, or at least plan ahead. The second one is don't close any existing credit accounts. So when you close a credit card account, it lowers your existing amount of credit that you can borrow. So a lot of what your credit score is based on is how much credit you have available to you versus how much you're using in the moment. So keeping that under 30% is ideal. If you have credit cards open that have a zero balance on them, that just helps out with that ratio. So there's no point in closing a credit card account because if you leave it open, don't touch it, don't charge anything to it, it can help out your credit score. It also builds length of history too, which can be helpful for your credit score. So don't close any. It can decrease your score in the short term, and you want to keep your score as high as possible, or at least where it's at while you're applying for a mortgage or buying a home. Okay, another thing, this kind of builds off of what I just talked about. So don't overcharge existing accounts. So if you do your regular credit activity, hopefully you're under 30% of your limit. So if you have a $3,000 credit limit, hopefully you're only using at maximum $1,000 of that credit limit. If you're overcharging those accounts, like let's say you buy a fridge for the new house and you put it on a credit card, something of that sort, that can decrease your score too. So we're all about keeping your score high while you're trying to buy a home. So do your regular credit activity. Don't splurge and put it all on credit accounts because that can hurt your score. Another one relating to credit cards is don't consolidate debt between credit cards. So while it may feel better to only have one card that is charged, that you charge all your debts to. Sorry, I spaced out there. It's not always the best idea. So if you can spread it out amongst cards, if you already have them open, don't open any new ones, but if you already have them open, that's likely going to be the best way to go about it. I wouldn't consolidate on cards because moving debt around, making your credit limit on one card higher is not always going to be the best. If you can keep it under 30% evenly across the board, that is going to help you more than having a few cards at 0% and having one card at 100%. So don't consolidate debt. Keep it how it is. Your regular credit activity, stay calm, and you'll be all good to go. Okay, and then don't pay off collections or charge-offs. So this one's a little counterintuitive because I know a lot of people when they're applying for mortgages or for pre-approval in general, they think that getting rid of those collections that they might have for debt is going to be the best option to make their application look as good as possible. Sometimes it's actually better to leave those collections as they are. Don't touch them, don't close them. And then obviously after a closing of a home, you can take care of them in any way you choose. But in order to simplify the actual home buying process and keep your credit score where it's at or higher, sometimes leaving them is the best option. Especially if it's an older account. So let's say you had a collection from like 2018 or something like that. If you are looking to buy a home now in 2024, what year is it? In 2024, and you think, oh, I need to pay that collection off now so that I can apply for my home. When you pay that collection off in 2024, it's actually going to bring that collection account to like a more current, have a more current effect on your credit score. So paying that off and closing it can be not the best option depending on your circumstances. What I would definitely recommend is applying as is with how your credit is, and then allowing your loan originator to take a look at things and give you steps to get to the point of qualifying if you don't already. It may actually be the case that you don't need to do anything to it, you qualify as is. If that's not the case, though, your LO will be able to give you specific direction on how to get there. And like I said, sometimes paying those collections off is not the way to go about it. So, okay, and then don't raise any red flags to the underwriters. So, overall, if you apply as, with your current situation, if you're going to change little things about your application throughout the process, so say you just got pre-approved last week and now you want to co-sign on somebody's loan, or you want to get added as an authorized user on a card, unless your loan originator tells you to do that in order to, improve your application, I just would stay steady and not do anything crazy to your credit. Changing your name is another thing, changing your address. While these things are allowable, and, especially if you have to do them, there's no reason not to. But if you're changing anything, even small things like that, I would talk to your LO so that they can change the stuff on your application for you, possibly explain to an underwriter if needed why it's happening in the first place. But the less activity that occurs while your loan is in process, the better off you usually are with an underwriter, because sometimes they'll just want explanations of why certain things are happening. So yeah, that goes on to the next one, though, of don't change jobs. So this one, you would think, goes without saying that if you apply with a certain job, you are approved with that job. Then changing your job could change your approval. So you're going to want to stick with your same job if possible, if you're already pre-approved, so that we can, again, reduce the amount of changes and differences from your application to begin with, and so that we can guarantee that we can use your income. Sometimes people can be working at one job, change their job to something in a similar field, but be paid in a different way. So maybe they were salaried before, now they're hourly, and that can affect how much of your income we can use to pre-approve you. So even tiny little changes, you think, oh, I'm just changing, which location I'm working at. But if there's underlying things that change, it can just make a difference in your pre-approval. On another note, too, if you're getting like a raise, while that's super exciting, there are some programs that have income limits. So if you change your job, if you get a raise, anything like that, please let your loan originator know so they can make sure that you qualify in general, and also make sure you qualify with the loan program that they originally described to you. So please keep us updated if you must change jobs. This one is a little less intuitive, but don't deposit large sums of cash. So a loan originator is going to ask for your bank statements when you first get pre-approved, especially if you're using funds from a checking or savings account to pay for your cash to close down payment. They'll need bank statements. If there are bank statements that show large deposits of cash that we can't source, we have to do a little extra digging and get the source of that deposit, explained for the underwriter. So if you deposit $3,000 in cash, maybe you have some cash under your mattress or something like that. We need to be able to show that that's not money that you borrowed or illegally sourced, even though that's very rare and I don't usually have to worry about that. They want to make sure that that's not the case. So the best way to go about this is, if you have cash that you want to deposit, get a receipt or some kind of trail that we can show the underwriter. So if you're selling like a car or a boat or something like that and you're receiving cash in return, let's say you sold it on Facebook Marketplace, get a receipt, have the buyer sign off or whatever you need to do so that we can show the underwriter directly where those funds came from. So that's a big one. Another big one that I actually don't have written on here right now, but if you are somebody that uses Affirm or Klarna or some kind of like buy now, pay later program, I would avoid doing that completely while you're trying to purchase a home. If it's unavoidable, that's fine. We'll just need like the documentation to show what your balance and your payments are and stuff like that. But ultimately, that is a payment, a monthly payment that we'll have to incorporate in your pre-approval, in which case sometimes that can lower your allowable purchase price. So if you can avoid using buy now, pay later while you're purchasing a home, that would be the absolute best way to go about it. And then if you have multiple bank accounts or, like asset accounts, so maybe like a retirement account or something like that, don't move your money around if you can help it. Otherwise, let's say you have enough funds in your checking account and you decide to withdraw and move it to your savings and then move some back from your savings and just move money amongst the accounts, then we have to get your statements for your saving and your checking account and your 401k if it's involved. And obviously that's possible, but it also could create more of a headache for you, more documentation, which I know a lot of home buyers don't love gathering documentation. So if you can avoid moving money around, keep it all in one spot, that would make your life simpler, make our life a little simpler. But if you can't avoid it, once again, we'll find a solution. So. All right. And then if you are receiving a gift from a family member, I would recommend not depositing it right away. I would say that waiting to cash the check from your mom or dad or whoever it may be might be the best way to go about it, just so that, again, we can reduce documentation, reduce things that we have to get to the underwriter, and we can follow all the correct procedures for that gift money, giving you less of a headache and making everything go a little bit smoother. Going back to credit, we've hit the do's now. So those were all the do nots. There's probably more, but nothing those were the most top of mind. So the do's, I would say stay current on all your existing accounts. So make your payment on time, please. If you have late payments while you're applying for a mortgage, that can definitely affect your credit score. That could put a dent in what you might be able to qualify for, what programs you could qualify for, all that kind of stuff. So stay current on your accounts. Let's say you can't log into your account for your credit card. Call in, make sure things are getting paid on time so we can stick with the pre-approval that we have all set for you. And then while there's a lot of rules that it seems I'm bringing up here, at the same time, it's important that you use your credit as normal. So if you do have a credit card that you typically charge like your gas, your groceries, whatever it may be on, you're allowed to do that. Don't feel like you can't buy things when you're buying a home. It's just a matter of making sure that it's your regular credit activity. So like I mentioned before, as opposed to buying a fridge and charging it to your credit card right in the middle of your closing process, that might not be ideal. But don't feel like you need to text me about buying a stick of gum or something while you're in the home buying process. It's okay. It's okay to do those sort of things. And we actually encourage it because it shows that you're good at using your credit limit. You can make those payments on time. You use somewhat of a balance, that kind of thing. So the final one I have here, and I've kind of mentioned it throughout, but ultimately call me, call whoever your loan originator may be if you have questions throughout the process. While some things kind of seem like a no-brainer, ultimately, most things can be overcome. I wouldn't open accounts or anything like that during your home buying process. But at the same time, like I said, if you need to do a certain thing, if you need to get your gift deposited or, move money between your savings and checking account, that's not going to be an immediate no, shut down the process. It's just a matter of us being able to explain to you the best way to go about it to make everything as smooth as possible, and just save you a headache, because ultimately buying a home is kind of a stressful process. So that's what we're here for, to bounce ideas off of and talk to about the best way to go about it. So thanks for tuning in. If you do have further questions, you can reach out to me on this page or by my cell phone and my email. I'm more than happy to help, but I'll see you guys again next Wednesday.